Hi everyone. So this is the second time I'm performing a TEDx speech and I'm officially blank with how to start. But thankfully this time I started with a subject, this topic that I cannot possibly forget, my 12th grade board exams. So just a few weeks before we all gathered here, I had finished my last board exam, my business studies final. I promise you I wrote a lot. Now, after I finished this exam, I was on my way home in the car. I had officially closed the chapter to my school life. And, I thought to myself, I realized something very important about time and myself. I am now the most jobless person alive. Like, what do I possibly do with all this newfound time? So I called up my friend, the second most jobless, and we made plans to meet up. I reached home and I had a few hours to spare. Now, I'm the kind of person who cannot stand the thought of doing nothing. Like, I always have to be doing something. So, I experienced this different kind of irritating boredom. And at that moment, I called up my friend, and my phone flashes a notification. You have been invited to speak at TEDxBund Garden Youth. We're pleased to offer you this. Okay, wow. What's that feeling when your prayers have been answered and you're like, yay, I'm not jobless, I have a future. So, now, what do? Do I tell my friend, sorry, man, I can't meet you. I have to write a 20-minute speech on the future of the Indian economy. See, when your exams are over, you don't want to hear about the economy. So I told him anyway. And then he blocked me. I'm just kidding, he didn't block me. I have nice friends. So instead, he gave me this 20-minute long lecture on the importance of sleep, importance of taking breaks. One of them even said, Arushi, do you even rest? So, I was in the zone. So I was like, me? I don't get tired. I don't rest. I'm a hustler. I keep going. Now, I know it sounds cringy because nobody says hustler anymore. It's 2024. Nonetheless, there's no other way to describe these type of people. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question today. If you were to finish something big in your life, anything, your board exams, your other exams, a client proposal, research project, anything, are you likely to, 1, take a break, 2, take a break but go outside, socialize, or 3, are you likely to plan for the next best thing? And I really, really want you to think about this because it forms the fundamental basis of my talk today. So for those of you who chose the first 2 options of taking a break, how does it feel to live my dream? See, I belong to the class of people who would just, no matter how exhausted or burnt out you are, plan for the next best thing. Now, this type of culture is known as hustle culture. These people, they don't stop, they keep going. They're obsessed with productivity up to the extent till they're exhausted. And now, well, there's obvious disadvantages to this type of lifestyle. But we'll get to that later. The reason why I'm here giving this talk today is because I stand here in front of you in an orange highlighter outfit to tell you the importance of having an intention in your hustles. And to highlight the power and potential of this missing intention that so many hustlers out there lack, I'm going to talk about the time when I was 13. So when I was 13, the pandemic was there. So obviously, I was an iPad kid. Everything in my life existed on my iPad. And I was 13, so this was kind of a big deal. I ended up getting symptom-free COVID twice, which meant that I was stuck in a room for 2 consecutive weeks, 28 days straight, doing absolutely nothing. See, this was the first time I experienced my hatred towards boredom. And I decided that no disease or no virus is going to stop me. I am going to hustle. I am going to keep going. And so I did that. In rebellion and my failing immunity, I decided that I was going to start an organization. I did that. I did a few research projects. I met a few people online. I conducted some speech competitions. And it was perfect. I was like that girl, like, wow, this girl's doing so much. She's so productive. Her life is just wow. Now, I thought so too. I mean, I thought I would magically attain success in the next coming years, but obviously that's not what happened. What actually happened was I began to realize that my life was really, really boring. So after I opened the organization and did all of these things, the pandemic passed. So now school started. But like I told you, I was an iPad kid, so school for me was iPad. But now it was getting up 6 a.m. in the morning and actually going to school. So I was not ready for this, and I decided that, it's time to make some changes in your life. And these changes can be incorporated in 3 fundamental laws. Now, for those of you who have a notepad, a piece of paper, please throw it away. You do not need to write these notes down. These were really stupid laws. And bear with me here. So the first dumb law was, drink as much caffeine as you can water. And the logic behind this was, because if you drink coffee, then you don't get tired, right? Now, I think we all know why I'm 7 foot tall. Now, my second fundamental dumb law was, if you sleep at 12, you wake up at 4. So as per the calculation, you find the limit, you graph it. So if you sleep at 3, then with 4 hours of sleep, you would wake up at also 4. So I was trying to incorporate 4 hours of sleep in 1 hour. Now the third law is the dumbest law of all. Whether you're happy, sad, tired, angry, calm, satisfied, dissatisfied, pleased, displeased, whatever, just keep going. Don't stop. Does not matter if the world around you is crumbling down. You do you. You keep going. Now, I know I sound like a real boss. Like, wow, nothing can affect her productivity. Now, to this type of lifestyle, there are obvious disadvantages. Everything that my friend lectured me about. Bad sleep schedule, anxiety, eating problems. But I'm not going to talk to you about that today. Another problem was, how do I explain to my Indian mother that I need 4 cups of black coffee every day? Like, trust me, I've tried. Now, moving on to the more legitimate problem that I had, how do I introduce myself? So a typical introduction for me looked like, hi, my name's Arushi Rohilla. I'm in the 10th grade. I study science and I like chemistry. First of all, chemistry, not so good anymore. Secondly, I could never, ever talk about my interests and passions. So one day I sat down and I asked myself, okay, Arushi, you do so much. What is it that you actually enjoy doing? The answer was nothing. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't enjoy doing nothing. I think I've made that clear. But there was nothing that I was doing that I actually enjoyed. Now, eventually, it dawned upon me that behind this shining piece of resume that I had, I was absolutely nothing. I was a walking, talking document. And the reason why my life felt so empty and so void was because it lacked the intention of purpose. See, what was the point of starting an organization if I was just going to quit it after the pandemic passed? I mean, pandemic passed, responsibilities grew, I grew inactive, done. Prime example of what happens when your work lacks purpose. So what is it about purpose that is so important in this? And does purpose alone guarantee you success? Well, I can't really answer that. I just finished my board exams. But what I can tell you is that purpose makes every aspect of failure worth celebrating. See, as so-called hustlers, we constantly keep in touch with the world of business in order to trap an opportunity and grow. But it's the setback of, I have to keep doing something, I have to keep going, that just kind of stops you. It's so sad to see people replace their love for business and society with the meaningless momentum of getting things done. I have to do this, I have to attend that meeting. These people end up looking back at their lives and all they see is a to-do list. And I won't say this statement in the air. I'll talk about another time. So during the summer of 10th grade, I was recruited as a business developer at a startup. Now keep in mind, this was just after 10th grade. Now, the aim of this startup was to create 3D printable NFTs. NFTs in your hand. Now, I was someone who did not even know what cryptocurrency was. But I learned more. And as I worked more in the startup, I began to realize that this startup had more than a business goal. It had a vision. The vision to decentralize manufacturing by combining blockchain and 3D printing. The vision to prevent the duplication of NFTs and give them rarity and utility. In the cryptocurrency market, this was truly an innovative idea, and that's why I liked it. So I remember my time really well here. There were all these technical words coming out of my mouth, and I was like, wow, I actually know what I'm doing this time. And I liked it. So I think we know what happens next. I get promoted, I become a millionaire, and I'm able to afford my dream car. Well, obviously, that's not what happened. What happened was, I quit. I quit the perfect job in the grand span of 2 months because I didn't have time. Every single thing in my life became an obligation, a task to check off as completed. And now, when I had time to do something that I like, there was no purpose behind it because it was just a task for me. Now, you would look at this period as a failed, miserable 2-month waste of efforts. But to me, it was the most I have ever learned in a span of 2 periods. That is the power of purpose. With so-called hustlers, always wanting to be involved in the professional environment, but they never get to see themselves succeed. That's why we've heard of the phrase 90% of the startups failed. And the reason why I think it's so important to be able to bring purpose into your life is because that's what business is. It originally is derived from the word busy, the meaning of keeping busy just to help others in service. And so the way to bring purpose into your life is to be able to distinguish between a side hustle endeavor and genuine business ambition. And I'm going to attempt to cover these in 3 main points. Now, these you can write down. So the first point is, the easiest way to distinguish between a side hustle endeavor and genuine business ambition is to ask yourself why. Why did you start? Did you start because you were upset or distressed about something? Or did you start because you genuinely think the world needs this? See, from the very inception of people trying to enter into hustle culture, they entered as a form of rebellion, like I did. Now, failed grade, very sad breakup, you don't like how you look, or you're upset by your expectations. These are common causes for people into the hustle culture. But, my dear friends, your breakup is not a reason for you to start a business. And so the reason why I think this is so important to understand is that every single human being out there is bound to get over it. You will get over the bad grade. And when you have gotten over it and you have made peace with yourselves, you no longer have the motivation. You will lose the reason why you started. And in a business or any type of endeavor, it is very wrong to lose the reason why you started. But with a true business ambition, you're likely to conduct elaborate market research to see the needs of the world. And by chance, if you find one such thing, a good or a service that the world needs, you will be filled with this desire to provide the world with it. That desire is purpose. This is the type of purpose that leads to innovation and paves the way for the future. A side hustle is simply an excuse for you to be busy. And the very fact that most people just try to do side hustles to be busy is the reason why your side hustle will always be a working business. Now, I know this sounds good, but there's a clear difference between a working business and a thriving business. So a working business, basic formula: consumer who wants to buy stuff, producer who wants to sell it. We all know this? Now, when you're dealing with psychological human emotions and you're starting this for your own personal reasons, this tends to turn into exploitation. This exploitation is why you will only be obsessed with productivity. You will never be able to thrive. Now, a thriving business does not deal with consumers, producers, whatever. It deals with members. You are as much a part of your business as the people who are buying your products are. You're part of a much larger community. See, you're trying to fill a gap in the society instead of the gap in your own heart. And filling the gap in the society is what business is. Now, I'll move on to the third point, but I must advise you, the third point is a little bit detached. But it will really get you thinking about what your life could be like with the hustle culture in the future. How long are you going to do it? How long are you going to live by the constant need to be doing something? Now, suppose your side hustle fails. Margins are low. You have to stop. You're using too much money. So in this case, you have 2 options. You're either to measure your productivity in other areas, or you're supposed to start a new side hustle. The problem is you can't start a new side hustle because your old one failed. Now, with a genuine business ambition, you're likely to, think about where it went wrong because you have that purpose in you. You still want to provide the world with that product. So you're likely to spend a few years improving and researching, and there's so many cases of this. That's what leads to innovation. See, the vision and integrity in business gives you the purpose to fulfill your passion. But the endless rat race rut of the hustle culture just gives you with meaningless to-do lists till your last breath. Do you want to spend the rest of your lives thinking that you're being so productive and that you're so passionate that, wow, I am a hustler. I am that person. I'm always on the run. I have a big fat bank account, but you don't have any purpose in your life. Meaningless life. The hustle culture is not a measure of your passion. True business ambition, driven by the ideals of society, is what I want people to take away from this talk. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you fill your life with purpose and passion.